6 losses, and 3 draws with 21 wins by knockout. Please welcome Sakio the Scorpion Bika. His opponent in the blue corner, dans le coin bleu, wearing gold trunks, fighting out of and representing Montreal, Quebec, Canada, by way of Port-au-Prince, Haiti. His outstanding record, 25 wins, only 1 defeat, with 21 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome Adonis Superman Stevenson.
Just a quick glimpse of Lucien Boutet in the crowd there. Haven't seen him since he lost to Jean Pascal back in January of last year, and here is the tail of the tape. Both knocking on in age, you would say. Slight advantage in reach there for Stevenson. As I mentioned though, Bika came in at 175.8 originally, and then an hour later came back at the stated weight on the screen.
Yeah, it's possible he just misjudged it, or maybe the scales that he was using was a little bit out. I mean, it's unprofessional, but it is possible. You wouldn't have expected to be struggling at light heavyweight, having, you know, competed all his career at middleweight and super middleweight.
So here we go, 12 3-minute rounds for the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. Adonis Stevenson in the southpaw stance, Sakio Bika, the gold shorts with the black trim. Different kind of regime for Stevenson for this fight. He usually goes off to the US for his training camp. This time he's been at his newly built gym in Montreal, nearer his family and his 4 children. He's very much enjoyed that. He's been very relaxed throughout the course of the build-up. It's been very civilized, actually. Bika is not one for trash talk. Stevenson looking early for that left hand that put pay to Chad Dawson in such spectacular fashion.
Nice straight left to the body. That's a hurtful point from Stevenson. It's the kind of shot you don't even taking too many of them all night. They just take the legs away from you.
Last time we saw Bika was on the undercard of Kelbrook against Sean Porter. Lost by unanimous decision to Anthony Durrell. Losing a super middleweight title in the process.
Yeah, I mean, Bika sometimes in some scrappy fights, he's not always, you know, the easiest on the eye to watch, but he's effective, very strong, very determined, stubborn kind of a guy, and he grinds out a win in fights that you think he wouldn't.
Stevenson just feinting, trying to draw a lead from Bika, who's not really obliging, but does just follow him across the ring with a couple of jabs there.
Yeah, Bika's got to be careful, because Stevenson's very dangerous when he's trying to bring you onto that backhand. Possesses massive power in that left hand. Well, Bika very experienced though, he'll know all the tricks.
Bika trying to work his way onto the inside. Just looking to try and let the right go to the body there. It didn't find the target.
Just trying to rough him up there with the inside of the glove. The ref will be on his case for that.
The crowd don't like it either. It's a great place to box if you're the home man in Canada. They've been selling out 20,000 all-seater arenas for years, the likes of Pascal, Boutet, Adonis Stevenson.
Tight round to score this, and they're not much in it.
Bika just made a miss there. Slightly off balance. I think the crowd were lulled into thinking he may have been caught. He hadn't been. So he hits the final few seconds.
Yeah,
At the end of the first round. well. Very tight opening round between Adonis Stevenson, who we see in picture now, Jafan Sugar Hill, who, as I mentioned, took over training duties from Emmanuel Stewart.
Yeah, very little in that first round, and Stevenson trying to bring Bika onto his backhand. Bika not really taking the bait as of yet.
Stevenson just looking for that left hand to the body, just trying to mix things up a little bit. If you were in Bika's corner, if you'd been strategising his training camp, the tactics for this fight, what would they have been?
Yeah, I mean, he needs to apply pressure. He needs to take Stevenson out of his comfort zone. But he's got to be careful. He can't just bulldoze forward, because Stevenson possesses dynamite in that backhand. Oh, big left hand. That shook him back there. He's hurt him, Andy.
Bika's just looking to hold on here, as Stevenson was looking to close in. A smile, though, from Sakio Bika, and a shake of the head, which is usually a sign that the punch did land and the punch did hurt. And Stevenson, full of energy here, just looking for another way through if he can find one.
Yeah, he's smiling, but that definitely hurt him. Definitely hurt him, shook him to his boots. But, you know, Bika is tough as teak, and he seems to have shook it off.
Left to the body that time from Stevenson. Just inching forward all the time, Bika again just tries to double up on that jab and throws with the right hand, but Stevenson just using his feet, managed to get back out of the way. He does have that slight advantage in reach, and it looks exaggerated when you see them in the ring. He's a lot leaner, a lot longer and looser, isn't he, in terms of style? Yeah,
and he landed another good straight left hand there again. Stevenson did. He's just touching him with the jab, head and body. But you know he's setting him up for that big backhand.
Referee just having a quick word about the heads possibly coming together there. Michael Griffin, actually, the referee, has officiated 6 of Stevenson's last 7 fights, which seems rather irregular to me, but there you go.
Yeah, and a lot of the losses also on Bika's record against Southpaws, Bute, Calzaghe. You know, Marcus Bayo was a technical draw. Also, you know, Dural and Ward switch hit a lot, so that's something also to note.
Andre Ward did say, actually, that Bika was his toughest fight. Another big left hand there from Stevenson. Bika was a little bit unsteady as he retreated there. Again, a smile for Adonis Stevenson from Sakio Bika. Once more, the left hand does get through. Mixture of glove and the side of the head took that one.
Yeah, Stevenson seems to have found his range, doesn't he? And Bika's struggling, really. Styling Stevenson is finding it very awkward. He can't get to him at all at the minute.
Stevenson's just having everything his own way here, isn't he? He's dictating the pace of the fight, the tempo of the fight. Well, Adonis Stevenson just applying the pressure in that second round, and there's a sense of urgency in that Sakio Bika corner, and with good reason.
Yeah, well, Stevenson seems to have found his range, and Bika's not really got into the fight as of yet.
One area where he does have the distinct advantage is the fact that Sakio Bika has been 12 rounds 10 times. Stevenson has done it just the once. It's a stat that looks good on paper, but for it to mean anything, it's got to take him deep into the fight, take Adonis Stevenson into that kind of territory that he's only been to the one time before. At the moment, I wouldn't say that Stevenson is getting through at will, but he's getting through regularly enough.
No, but he looks in control, doesn't he? He's, like you say, he's dictating all the terms, and he's fighting at his pace, he's dictating the terms. very much in his comfort zone, and he's even hurt Bika, which is a big confidence booster for him. Another lovely straight left hand there, snaps Bika's head back.
He's keeping that weight for the most part on the back foot, Bika. Stevenson again just holds out that right hand, that southpaw jab. It's not really a weapon, it's just more to gauge the distance, judge the distance.
Yeah, it's a rangefinder, and it's keeping Bika preoccupied, giving him something to think about while he lines up his straight backhand or the left hand to the pit of the stomach. Looks like he's finding his groove now, doesn't he, Stevenson?
Just fell short with that left hand. Bika just managed to sink his weight into the heels and just sway back out of the way. Stevenson looking to double up on the jab and then sink in the left of the body. Just a couple of years between them in terms of age, but Bika's been a professional a lot longer, since 2000. Stevenson turning over in 2006.
Yeah, Bika's been in a lot of tough fights. He's had to win the tough way a lot of times. Like I say, he's not the...
That's better from Bika as he just tries to come in behind that left hand. There was a slightly clumsy looking right hand just before that, as well, as he just looks to try and back Stevenson up onto the ropes and try and let some punches go. He won't be afraid of trying to rough things up, maybe. Make it a little bit dirty on the inside in there as well if he needs to.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when he fought Joe Gonzaghi. Joe Gonzaghi was cut, badly cut over both eyes, and heads were clashing. But I was just saying, Bika's not the most spectacular to watch or the easiest on the eye, but he's effective and he knows how to win ugly if need be. He's not going to outbox Stevenson. It's unlikely he's going to knock him out. So if he is going to win, he's going to have to do this the hard way. He's going to fight down on his gum shield. He's going to have to apply a lot of pressure, and he's going to have to take one to give one.
Bika just looking to try and finish the round with a flourish, throwing plenty of punches there. Looked a little bit open. Stevenson couldn't capitalise.
Great drive. Numero uno is back. Ferrari's back. Grazie, dai, forza Ferrari.
An unexpected victory sets up an intriguing race in China. Coverage sponsored by FairFX, live only on Sky Sports.
3 rounds gone in this WBC Light Heavyweight Championship. Fight between Adonis Stevenson and Sakio Bika. Sakio Bika there. Plenty of advice pouring in from the corner again. It has been between rounds every time so far. Stevenson just gets up from his stool. Things a little bit calmer in his corner. Bika is always just inching forward through the jab, and then as soon as he threw it, Stevenson let go with the backhand. Just caught off balance there, Bika, as he threw the right hand. He was slightly hesitant and he was open. Stevenson looked to cash in with the left, and he very, very nearly did.
Yeah, nice counter straight left hand by Stevenson there, the southpaw stance.
Bika just standing tall, caught a left hand there from Stevenson. Just trying to push him back into the kind of range he really needs to get him at.
Yeah, that was better stuff from Bika. At least he's playing forward. At least he's trying to apply the pressure. He's not going to do it the easy way. He's going to have to be prepared to take punches in order to land punches.
Took another left hand there, and again Stevenson just throwing that trusty left glove as Bika was just once more trying to sway back and just ride that slightly and take the sting out of it. There's not much lateral movement from Bika, is there? It's not side to side, he's just kind of retreating back in straight lines, really.
Yeah, he don't really move his head much. He's backward or forward, hands high. His defence is his gloves. Or on top of his head. He's a tough guy, but he's not, you know, there's not much movement from him. Decent right hook there, landed by him, though. That's what he needs to do. He has to take chances. See Stevenson, when you give him room and time, he just gets in the groove, he keeps you busy with the right hand, and then he just punches to the head with the left backhand, body or head, and he just finds a nice rhythm. Bika just needs to apply more pressure and get on top of him.
Fight's just tied up on the inside. Referees have very, very little to do in this fight so far, just stepping in there to break the two of them. As we head towards the final 30 seconds of the fourth round. Fight that Stevenson is in control of.
A bit more urgency now in Bika's work. It's like it's not pretty, but he's getting closer.
Bell goes to the end of the fourth. Sakio Bika's corner just encouraging him to go to the body more of Adonis Stevenson. Already got his way to the end of the fourth round. He did predict in the build-up to this fight that he would be able to take Stevenson out, that he would be able to find the power to knock him out. It has happened once before, of course. Darnell Boone stopped Stevenson when they were back at super middleweights. Stevenson claiming that he got up and beat the count and could have continued, but the referee waved it off. He got revenge for that. It's a knockout they show a lot, the revenge knockout against Darnell Boone. It's like something you'd see in a Rocky film. Stevenson hits him with an uppercut which really knocks him out on his feet. His gloves drop and then he applies the finishing left hand. We've seen it up on the big screen numerous times tonight already, Matt.
Yeah, you can see him, he's setting it up now. Stevenson, he's jabbing the body, jabbing the head, jabbing back down to the body, and then he's looking to explode with the big backhand, that southpaw left hand. And he carries serious dynamite in it. So it's hard for Bika because he needs to get close, he needs to apply pressure. He's not going to win any rounds standing boxing on the outside, but Stevenson does carry that great power in the backhand, so he has to be careful as well. You know, got caught with the straight left again.
Bika just before that let go of the overhand left, just trying to mix things up slightly maybe.
Boxing well now, Stevenson. Nice 1-2 sharp, straight down the middle.
Well, as you said, he's just settled into a rhythm, hasn't he? And for the most part, really, he's kind of been allowed to. Again, the left hand got through there, and just a little dip of the knees there from Bika, who ends up on the canvas. Is this going to be scored as a knockdown? I suspect probably not, as the referee pulls it back towards his feet. There was a punch in there, I think, that just started Bika being sent off balance, and then as they both rolled around on the ground, Stevenson now looking for that uppercut. That almost got through, just flew past the forehead of Bika.
Yeah, very scrappy there with the knockdown, but I think the left hand definitely shook him.
The crowd really starting to get into this fight as well. Broadcast mid-afternoon in North America, part of the new look Premier Boxing Champions. Oh, Bika's unsteady again there. He was caught with the left hand and the knees just started to loosen, the legs started to go. Stevenson, though, not overcommitting here. He's not rushing things, he's just waiting for the opening. He's got him going a couple of times already this round, and he almost came straight onto a left uppercut there.
Yeah, he's boxing well, Stevenson, really in his groove now, really boxing a nice rhythm, touching the head. straight lefts to the body, jabs to the body, and he's shook Bika twice in this round. Didn't think it wasn't a knockdown. The ref was right not to count. It was a bit of a scrappy little wrestling match where they came together, but the left hand that landed previous, that definitely did shake him. So, Stevenson has the power to hurt him for sure.
And Stevenson just goes for a little walk after he launched that left hand from way back. He's enjoying this, Adonis Stevenson. You can tell he's really warm to the task. He feels that he's having it all his own way, just winding up that left hand, and Bika won't like that one little bit. He's a very, very proud man. But at the moment, he just doesn't really have any answers.
No, he's landing those straight backhands at will. I think that's the shot that hurt him, that set up when the knockdown, well, that wasn't a knockdown, but when he went touchdown, they came together and it was scrappy, but as you can see, that straight left certainly registered.
And now it's that uppercut, that short little uppercut that Bika walked onto. If there'd been just a little bit more power behind that, that could have been a very big problem.
Yeah, I mean, what Stevenson does is fairly basic. It's jabs with the right hand, jabs to the body with the right hand, and then the backhand comes every time. But he mixes it up so well and varies the speed that it's very difficult to defend against.
Well, the southpaw backhand seems to be a kind of charmed, almost magical weapon in a way. The way it just manages to find its way through that guard to the target without seemingly often really doing anything particularly complicated.
No, that's what I mean. He's oh, lovely. That was a nice combination. He doesn't throw lots of combinations, Stevenson, but that was a nice one. A lot of his stuff is singles and doubles, but he put 3 or 4 punches together there, and the uppercut was lovely that he finished with. But you can see him, he's pouring with the right hand, he's feinting, he's touching him. You know he's just trying to set him up for the backhand all the time. Just missed him there, but that was a big shot had it landed. But he looks like he's really enjoying himself here now. He's got Bika's, seems to have his measure, he's found his range. He's shook him up a couple of times, and he's really in his comfort zone here now.
It's just very difficult to see what Sakio Bika can do about this. Again, launching with the big left hand. He was ringside for Pascal Kovalev. Stevenson, he said he wasn't all that impressed with what he saw from Kovalev. He would say that.
Yeah, big left hand landed there to start that attack off, and left hook around the side as well, uppercut there, going through the gears a little bit here now.
Light heavyweight scene in Canada, absolutely thriving.
Seeing some of Bika's best wins, he's really bulldozed his way forward, used his physical strength, but this is his first fight up at light heavyweight. Stevenson being the southpaw, carrying that power in his backhand. I don't really see Bika that being effective for him. He's not going to can't just bulldoze forward, and even when he does get inside and they're clinching, he's probably draining himself as much as it is Stevenson when they are wrestling and going to work.
Well, Bika now just trying to push Stevenson back onto the ropes and then make a little bit of room for himself to get some punches away of his own.
But he didn't really land anything then, and the nothing's no anyway.
Stevenson just mixing it up, going to the head and then down to the body. That was a beautiful left hand from Adonis Stevenson, which has knocked Bika down. But he seems to be clear-headed. I think he's claiming possibly that was some kind of a slip, but that was a clean punch.
That was a knockdown, Andy. He's okay, he doesn't look too shook, but that was a legitimate clean knockdown. Just walked him on lovely onto the straight backhand.
But didn't he take it well? There seemed to be some real force behind that, and Bika at no stage there looked in any kind of trouble. Yes, he went down, but he got up straight away.
Yeah, but Stevenson catching him with another straight backhand there again. Maybe smiling it a little bit now.
And again, that left hand gets through. Bika just managed to ride that one to an extent, but even so, he's feeling all of those, isn't he, every single time?
Yeah, can't miss him with that straight left hand. Every time he lands it, he's landing it at will, snapping his head back, and yeah, that was a lovely punch. The way he just manoeuvred him onto it, gave him a little feint, touched him with the right hand, little half step back, and as he came, bang, straight left hand, straight down the middle.
Well, Well, Bika claiming there, I think, that the legs came together. He did actually just step on the front toe there, which is always an occupational hazard when you've got an orthodox fighter against a southpaw.
Looks a bit different from that angle. I mean, there was a punch landed, but certainly the feet did tangle. Yeah, I mean, having seen it from that angle, it looks a bit different.
It looked in real time as though that left hand just landed absolutely flush, didn't it? But when you see that again, as you say, I'm not sure it did.
I mean, I think there was a glancing left. I think it definitely landed, but I'm not sure it would have been a knockdown had the feet not got tangled.
So into the second half of the fight, this for the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. Adonis Stevenson with the Superman nickname on the back of his trunk, Sakio Bika with his name on the front of his. Stevenson the southpaw, Bika the orthodox fighter.
Yeah, and I mean, at this stage now, Andy, going into the second half of the fight, Stevenson's so in control, so ahead on the scorecard. Bika really has to start taking chances if he's going to win this fight.
Well, he's been to Canada before, of course. Challenged Lucien Boutte, that was an IBF eliminator in June 2007.
Another southpaw as well.
He almost drowned a couple of days before that fight. He was doing some work in the hotel pool, jumped into the deep end rather than the shallow end just to do some hydrotherapy, and he can't actually swim, so that's a near fatal miscalculation. He had to be rescued. He's got a documentary team following him around at the moment, making a film of his life, and it is a very interesting life, but I very much doubt whether the tagline, the ending to that documentary, is going to be him being crowned as light heavyweight champion of the world somehow.
Oh, well, he's finding himself in the deep end again here tonight, hasn't he? Excuse the pun. Yeah, Stevenson having it all his own way. Really controlling this fight. Bika tough as we expect, but he's coming on second best. Every exchange they have is, again, lovely straight backhand again from Stevenson. He's landed that at will all night long.
And every time Bika does throw that jab, Stevenson immediately just throws that left hand. It just seems to trigger it straight away. Bika, as he always does, just relentlessly inching forward, just rolling forward.
I mean, at this stage of the fight, Bika, he's not going to land single shots. Or great left hand by Stevenson again.
Coughing left hand from Stevenson. You could just see the head of Bika shudder slightly there as he absorbed that one.
And again, lovely 1-2, right hook. I mean, that's your basic three-punch combination in boxing, but he's doing the basics so well. I think Bika's getting frustrated now. He's trying to roughhouse Stevenson on the inside.
Off balancing through that right hand there, Bika. He does manage to just ball Stevenson back towards the ropes. Head just boring in slightly there as well. Stevenson looking to try and tie him up. That right hand was right on the belt. Then Stevenson looked for the left uppercut.
Yeah, and he landed it too, Andy. It was a lovely punch just as the right hook landed on Stevenson's elbow. He shot the left uppercut counter. Great one for him. Nice right hook by Bika.
Nice combination from Stevenson, but just as he let that left hand go, good slip there from Bika. Managed to turn and get himself away from danger, then launch that right of his own, as you mentioned. It's all nice and calm in there. Bika always coming forward, he's always looking to try and make those openings and try and make something happen, but he's just not been able to. This is really the closest he came.
Yeah, more urgency in his work in that round, and he was bulldozing forward and willing himself on, but it wasn't really landing anything of any note. Stevenson was still doing the better work. Even on the inside, he was landing the clean counters, like that left uppercut there.
Stevenson has had the likes of Dominic Dalton, who's 16-0 at light middleweight from Detroit. Jordan Schimmel, 18-0 at cruiser. Aaron Pryor Jr. as well. super middleweight, up to Montreal for sparring. Stevenson just taking his time in this round so far. And again, just steps in behind that left hand. Reading some comments from a certain Buddy McGirt before this fight, Matt, which were interesting in a way. He didn't express any particular passion for it. He was the right man to ask, though, because he's trained both of these, not for a particularly long time, but he has been in both their corners. He wasn't all that impressed by Stevenson from what I read, basically asking that apart from the left hand, what does he got? But when you've got a left hand like that, then the answer is it's a fearsome enough weapon on its own, but how would you try and go about taking it away?
Well, Buddy's very critical anyway. Yeah, but no, I mean, Stevenson, to a degree, I understand what Buddy's saying, but there's not a lot to Stevenson is in. He doesn't throw massive variety of punches like we've seen Baturbia throwing such variety, but you know, Stevenson is very much 1-2, double jab, backhand to the stomach. It's the basics, but he does the basics so well and carries so much power in that backhand that, you know, he's so effective with it.
Adonis Stevenson has maybe just taken a round off here, I think, as we head into the final minute of the 8th. Hasn't really applied quite as much pressure in this session as he has in the previous ones.
Yeah, well, he probably just paced himself now. You know, Bika, he probably thinks Bika's there for the 12 and the top guy. Like you say, fighters do that sometimes in 12-round fights. They take a round off when they get a breather and then a second wind kick in.
Slight warning about punching around the back of the head there. Stevenson just tying up Bika's left arm on the blind side of the referee there. Bika letting go with that right hand. Stevenson, though, just tucking the chin in behind the shoulder, looking to let an uppercut go. Bika launching some punches towards the end of the round. This is a little bit better from Sakio Bika, just caught with a short left hand there, though, from Stevenson. And this is really the most encouraging passage of the fight so far for Bika. Bika was actually in London last May, at Wembley Stadium for Crossgroves 2. He wanted to fight the winner.
Showed good defence there on the ropes, I thought, Stevenson. Got caught with 1 or 2, but for what Bika put into it, for the amount of energy expended, he didn't really get anything for it. If anything, Stevenson got back with a couple of cute little counters on the inside, particularly the left uppercut.
Right. We gotta catch it. We gotta catch it. And when you apply the pressure, you do better. You do better when you close applying the pressure. Push it back. The referee letting you fight. So go in there and fight on the inside and push him around. All right?
It's the 9th round, is scheduled for 12 at light heavyweight. The WBC belt on the line. Adonis Stevenson on the right of your screen, the southpaw. Superman on the back of the shorts. Sakio Bika, the challenger. Based in Sydney, from Cameroon originally. Stevenson looking to try and work to the body there, though. Bika just dropping the elbows and doing a decent job of covering up.
He's trying to put a few more punches together, isn't he, in this round, Andy? 3s and 4s, even 5-punch combinations. Oh, nice again, nice. That's his trademark punch, isn't it? That little lay-back left-hand counter.
Bika just looking to try and make some inroads behind that jab, but it's easier said than done as Stevenson just flicks out that southpaw jab of his own and then just moves away to his right-hand side. The work rate from Adonis Stevenson, I do think, has dipped in the last couple of rounds. He's maybe put a little bit more into this one than he did the previous one, but it's easy to see why he's leading this wide on the cards. I don't think there can really be any doubt about that. Referee just gesturing it to Stevenson to keep that left hand up a touch. It has been the 12 rounds once before, as we mentioned earlier on, Stevenson. That was against Fonfara last May. He was down in the 9th round in that fight. Followed that up with a 5th round KO of Dmitry Sukotsky. He'd never been stopped, that was here back in December.
Yeah, and he stopped Don George in the 12th round, so he still has the power even late on in the fight.
Figueroa versus Burns, Kameda versus McDonald. You see on the canvas there as Bika was just staggered by left hand there from Stevenson.
That's his trade. Oh, great shot.
Down he goes. Shortens up the left hand this time. That caught him right on the chin and he's in trouble here. He nods his head as if to acknowledge that it was a good shot, but also to tell the referee that he's okay. But he was dumped on the seat of his pants there.
Tough man Bika, but that trademark layback left hand. He's doing some damage with it tonight, Stevenson, every time.
And there was that shot. It had just rocked him the first time.
Yeah, I mean, he's been setting him up for it all night. He's been landing it all night, but there just brought him onto it, walked him onto a lovely straight left hand. Right on the butt, smack straight down the pipe on the chin.
You saw the look on Paulie Malignaggi's face in the background there as that punch was landed. You could see the audible gasp from the Magic Man as Bika was put down right on top of him almost. Well, let's just have a quick look at your unofficial scorecard so far, Matt, and it is a shutout.
I mean, I gave him a share of the first, and that was probably being generous to Bika. There just wasn't a lot happened, but you know, since then he's just been completely dominant.
Slightly fortunate for Bika that knockdown occurred right at the end of that previous round. Stevenson has started this round at a high tempo. Little clubbing left hand, short left hook got through there. Bika just trying to cover up. Stevenson keeping the pressure on. The punch output is good here, just letting those hands go.
Yeah, he's very in control. I mean, he's walking it, but if he can get the stoppage, that'd be a bit of a statement, stopping a guy that's never been stopped. Even though it's his first fight up at light heavyweight, you know, he's been in there with guys like Joe Calzaghe, Lucian Bute. You know, so if Stevens can be the first man to stop him, you know, he'd be. I'm sure he'll go for it if he smells it. If he thinks it's there, he'll close in on it for sure.
Left hand high on the head, Bika though just managed to ride that one. Just trying to tie Stevenson up. Got through with a just short right hand there. Still putting everything into these punches, Bika. Swinging himself off balance at times, but nothing has ever really got through. Nothing has ever troubled Stevenson to any great extent.
He throws that layback left hand counter so well, it almost takes his opponent's jab away from them, because they don't. Every time they throw a jab, they get hit with a big counter left hand. So, you know, that from Bika's point, he hasn't thrown many jabs. You know, for I don't know since what round he's really just been non-existent with his jab. But every time he throws it, he gets nailed with Stevenson's backhand.
He's in a good place in his life at the moment, Stevenson, as well. He's very settled.
Yeah, and that means a lot. You know, happy fighters are good fighters. the mental aspect of boxing is so big that, you know, if you're happy in your life, you're happy in your surroundings, you know, the chances are your performances are going to improve and get better all the time, and that's how it seems with him. He's never looked better.
Referee just warning them about the heads coming together. He's been splashing out a bit of money on Lamborghinis actually, Stevenson, recently. He's bought one green one, one orange one. He's been doling out some food at a homeless shelter before tonight's fight, something that's become a bit of a pre-fight ritual for him in recent times. Again, the left hand gets through and Bika almost dips straight onto that one.
I was just going to say Bika landed 2 nice right hooks and then gets nailed with a big left hand. He holds his feet well, Stevenson really does, you know, he takes that little lay back. He's not really out of distance, he just lays back away, enough to get out of the way of the jab, but he's still close enough to come back with his own backhand counter.
Well, 10 rounds in and this really one-way traffic. Bika's assertion before the fight that he would have the power to stop Stevenson seems very, very optimistic at this stage.
Yeah, I think at this stage Bika will just be, you know, relieved to get a final belt.
Everybody's now going to look ahead to that fight, that potential fight between Stevenson and Sergei Kovalev. As I mentioned, purse bids are due for that in Mexico City, April 17th. Yvonne Michel, when I spoke to him, said to me that he's sure that fight is going to happen. All the litigation, all the lawsuits that were thick in the air last year have all fallen, they've all gone. It's just a question now of who puts in most money, who wins it, to determine where it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, Stevenson's team has huge backing. Al Heyman's gone out and won nearly any purse bid he's been involved in, and you know, that fight, Kovalev and Stevenson, is probably the most anticipated fight in boxing at the moment.
Apart from a certain event on May the 2nd.
Yeah, obviously after May the 2nd.
I don't think Kovalev would have any fears about coming to fight in Canada. He's done it a couple of times already, most recently, of course, against Pascal back in March. That was a tremendously impressive performance, despite what Stevenson may say to the contrary. He fought on a Stevenson card, actually, when Stevenson defended against Tony Bellew. He took out Ismail Silak in very brutal fashion. So I can't imagine that Kovalev and his team will particularly care.
I think Kovalev would fight him in his own back garden, and to be honest with you, I've been more impressed with Kovalev as a whole, but tonight I thought Stevenson has boxed really well. He's dominated. Bika's a good fighter. He's been a world champion, albeit down at super middleweight, but he's been completely dominated by Stevenson here tonight. Hasn't got into fight at all.
Well, there'll be a lot of money to be made by both fighters when it does come around, that's for sure. $3 million, the rumoured purse for Stevenson here tonight. Pascal and Bute, when they went at it last January, they got $2 million each. It's a good place to box.
Yeah, and especially with all the television, you know, kind of split down the middle in America at the minute, with Al Heyman going off and doing his own thing on terrestrial television, and HBO they're big backers that have invested a lot of money in Kovalev. So, you know, the fact that it'll go to a purse bid, it'll be interesting to see what bid wins it. You'd imagine it would be a big, large amount of money.
It was about this time last year, actually, or just before that, that the news broke that the paths of Stevenson and Kovalev, which seemed to be converging perfectly, were actually going to diverge when he did team up with Al Heyman and move Network to Showtime. And it was a real disappointment that it looked like we were going to be robbed of what would be a mega fight, really. But hopefully, anyway, we're not getting ahead of ourselves, and down the line we will see it towards the end of this year, towards the end of the summer, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I mean, you prompted me, and rightly so, the biggest fight that everyone wants to see is Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. But you know, maybe that's a fight that would have been a bit bigger a couple of years ago. Certainly from a purist point of view, when they were probably more in their primes, where, you know, good left hook there by Bika. Stevenson doesn't want to get stupid or slappy.
Followed up by the right hand as well, and that seems to have encouraged Bika, who just wades in behind another big overhand right. He was just caught and turned on the ropes there, and Stevenson let a left hand go. No great weight behind it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to switch off, Stevenson. Bika's a tough guy, and he's, you know, if he can get back into the fight, he will.
stern look from Bika towards Stevenson. As he walks towards his corner, Bika looks a little bit wary. Stevenson, not a bit of it.
Yeah, I don't think that Tim's going to be worried. I just think he got a bit lazy there, or switched off a little bit on the bell. But I mean, he's dominated the fight into the last round now. You'd be amazed if he slipped up now.
He's never been stopped, and it doesn't look as though he will be tonight. It is possible that Adonis Stevenson could pour it on in the final round here and do something that nobody has ever managed to do before.
Yeah, but you've got to give Big credit. He's a tough guy. Yeah, he's been down a couple of times, but he shook it off straight away, and he's tough as nails, and that's why he's never been stopped, as you can see tonight, because he's eating some pretty big left hands.
It's all of these fighters as well, Sakio Bika. People talk about road warriors, if you like, fighters who were always fighting away from home, and he's one of them. You know, you look at the title fights he's taken on: Germany against Marcus Bayer, Manchester against Joe Calzaghe, that eliminator against Butte in Montreal. Won his WBC title in June 2013. That was in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center against Marco Antonio Farias. And defending in the States against Anthony Durrell.
Yeah, plenty of stamps in his passport. Yeah, I was just saying before about the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather fight being the biggest in boxing, but probably from the hardcore boxing fan, I think the Stevenson Kovalev is probably the most anticipated fight, because I think both guys are really in their prime. Fascinating fight that'll be if it gets made.
Well, everybody talks about the power, and they both obviously do have a lot of power. And a lot of the time people talk really about single punch knockout power, as Stevenson indulges a bit of showboating on the ropes. But the ability that Kovalev and Stevenson have really is to hit hard with every punch, to hurt with every punch. Nice right hand there from Bika, just caught Stevenson. And Bika is determined to go out on his shield here. He's not taken too kindly, I don't think, to the antics of Stevenson in this final round. He deserves a bit more respect than that, I would say.
Yeah, I think Stevenson, just because he's been so dominant, he's just enjoying himself in there. But like you say, Bika, not too amused by it.
Stevenson just looking to try and double up on that backhand as we tick into the final minutes of this contest. End of the 12th round, and the WBC belt will be staying with Adonis Stevenson. The WBA, WBO and IBF are in the possession of Sergei Kovalev. The WBA regular champion, Jürgen Brähmer.
Caught with a big right hook there, Stevenson. Just a little too slappy eyed, but he's, I mean, he looks home and dry here, doesn't he? Even when he has been caught, Bika doesn't seem to have the power to trouble him.
And he did get through with one there, and he's had a good final round here, Bika. He's rallied. Heads came together there. I don't think there's any damage. Bika immediately just poured at his forehead. Only a few seconds left.
Don't think there's any cuts there.
Bika trying to finish in style. Trying to let go of that right hand. Little shuffle there from Stevenson. He's got a lot of backing in Canada, a lot of support. And it has been a convincing display. He's gone through the 12 rounds comfortably. That's the second time now he's gone the distance, and he was in control of that fight really from beginning to end. Lucien Butte in the front row there. Slight bit of blood, I think, coming from a wound caused by that clash of heads in the final round.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people would have picked Stevenson before the fight. I think most people would have picked Stevenson to win the fight, but I don't think people would have expected him to dominate Bika so convincingly and so easily. I mean, he literally didn't break first gear in that fight. I mean, everything was at his ease. He dictated the pace. He rested when he wanted to rest. He fought when he wanted to fight. And you know, he really dominated Bika it was a good fighter, you know, former world champion. So yeah, I mean, the result's not a surprise, but I was pleasantly surprised at how easily he dominated Sakio Bika in this fight.
Well, as I said, he'll be preparing for the fight at his brand new gym in Montreal. He's absolutely loved the fact that he's been able to prepare surrounded by home comfort. Says your scorecard, Matt, it's wide, and I'll be very surprised if the other scorecards weren't wide as well.
More exciting bouts are scheduled.
Well, I thought that was the MC just chiming in there to give us the official announcement. Just promoting, I think, upcoming events. So we didn't really find out anything about Adonis Stevenson tonight, Matt, that we didn't already know. We were hoping, as you say, that Bika might have asked a few questions that he would have to supply the answers to, and it just makes it all the more important now. We've been talking about it for the last 5-10 minutes or so, at the risk of repeating ourselves. This fight against Sergey Kovalev has got to happen.
Has to happen for boxing. Boxing needs these type of fights. Obviously, thankfully, the Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather fight is happening. You know, Kovalev, Adonis Stevenson. That's another fight that everyone wants to see. That's a fight that, you know, fans crave. That's the, you know, the networks want to see. Everyone in boxing that's involved in boxing wants to see these type of fights, and you know, they're the crossover fights to your football fans, your rugby fans. Everyone wants to see these big fights especially with big hitters like Stevenson and Kovalev. So, you know, they have to happen for the good of the sport, really. And you know, as a boxing fan myself, it's a fight I want to see.
Well, both fighters are taking a little bit of time to get the gloves off.
But I think it's a fairly routine decision here, and they'll be amazed if it's anything but very, very wide points.
It would be pretty astonishing. The judges, Glenn Rick Crocker from Texas, Don Griffin from Texas as well, actually, Jack Woodburn from Quebec.
You could maybe give Bika a round or two, or share a couple of rounds, but I mean, for me, it was a very dominating performance by Adonis Stevenson. And he looked like he had a lot more in him, didn't he? I mean, he seemed to be in first and second gear all night long.
Well, our referee is just stepping into the centre of the ring with that WBC belt that they've been fighting for. Well, the light heavyweight division hasn't been unified since Roy Jones did it. Roy Jones Jr. back in 1999.
Championship rounds, we go to the scorecards. Judge Crocker has it 115 to 111. Judge Griffin has it 116 to 110. And Judge Wood has it 115 to 110 for your winner by unanimous decision. And still, the WBC light heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, narrow on the cards, and we had it, but still a victory for Adonis Superman Stevenson.
So Stevenson